Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the first division preview of Batter Up, part of the Sports Insanity podcast. I am Mike Rifkin, joined by Mark Halpern and Tom Roussos. Gentlemen, welcome to baseball season.
Thank you.
The smell is in the air, and baseball, we're just as good as the guys on SNY. We cut each other off every 5 seconds, so don't be surprised about that. No, very looking forward to baseball. Tom.
Yes, I'm very looking forward to it too. There's nothing like spring in the air, spring training here. We're ready for baseball. Want the full 162. Bring it on.
Yeah. Spring is in the air, yet it was like 20 degrees yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you know the weather's bipolar. And because the season starts in like early March nowadays, there's always like one snow game in Cleveland or Detroit, right? So
usually,
yeah. Or like
Listen,
Colorado
let's
in
hope
May.
for an opening snow game in Detroit or something. That'd be great.
I'm down for that.
All right. We're going to cover both the AL and NL West today, but we will start with the NL West because we do have some breaking news from Jeff Passan of ESPN. Padres and third baseman Manny Machado are finalizing an 11-year contract worth $350 million. This coming after Machado had claimed he was going to opt out after the season of his 10-year, $300 million contract. It's a lot of money, Manny Machado. Either way, but no opt-out for Manny Machado. He's getting an extension, Mark.
right. You have to look at this as the Mets. If we're Mets fans, as we are, what does this mean for going down the road? As I've said before to Mike, is that I do not believe that Machado was ever on their radar to come. I think they wanted Soto from the Nationals. Next year, they have to give Pete Alonso his extension. They're going to go after Shohei. And then the year after, they're going to go make the play on Soto or trade and get him to a sign-and deal.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the Padres, on the other hand, they kind of feel like they had to do this. You know, they are going as all in as anybody in the league right now. You know, we're going to talk more about the NL West, but they're in a pretty tough division where they have the Dodgers looking at them every day. They kind of feel like they had to extend Manny Machado. The market's changed. Machado was due a lot of money. At the end of the day, though, I do wonder, I get scared when I see these 11-year deals for 30-year-old guys. How much down the line are the Padres going to maybe end up regretting this contract is my only worry. But time will tell.
Well, speaking of regretting deals, according to this is from Dennis Lynn, the Padres writer for The Athletic, there's no opt-out in Machado's new deal, and there's also a no full trade. So the Padres have Manny Machado for the next 11 years.
As of now, anything can change down the line. Will he be willing to waive his no trade clause? Yada, yada, yada. We'll worry about that as, time plays out on the Machado contract.
Yeah. And I mean, he was second in MVP.
The most upset and to be fair, he should have won it, if I'm being brutal honest. I know Paul Goldschmidt had a great year, but Manny Machado carried the Padres offense for most of the year because they didn't get Soto till the deadline, and he didn't even really hit it when he first got there. He didn't have Tatis the whole year. But I think this is the sign of this is Dodgers, we're coming to get you because this is how you built your super teams of the past. This is how we're going to build our super team of the now, because we do have Soto. They did sign Xander Bogaerts. And right now, the Padres probably have a better pitching rotation than the Dodgers do.
Mm,
when you include the fact that Walker Ferris Bueller is going to be out for the year after Tommy John surgery. So the Padres, I mean, we can get more into this in a little bit when we get into the NL West, but the Padres right now could be the front runner against a team that won 111 games last year.
mm. Yeah. And I was looking, as you know, I like to bet a little bit. The odds are starting to shift towards the Padres just in general the past couple weeks, even though it's still the Dodgers are the favorites, but it's getting closer. A lot of people are really buying in on this Padres team, and I see no reason not to buy in on them at this point. I mean, I'm a Mets fan. We saw in the playoffs the Padres are not a team you want to play in the playoffs. They're only getting better. It's a coin flip to me on who's going to win this division right now, to be honest with you, between those two.
And if you look at what happened with when the Mets faced off against the Padres, they were still missing Tatis at that point.
Yeah.
So, just thinking he comes back, I think, what is it, 23 games into the season is when he returns?
Something like that, yeah.
That team is going to be as unstoppable as the Yankees used to be. That's how good that team is. I think they're better than the Dodgers. But we'll get, as we said, when we get to that, we get to it.
No, I mean, I think it's a fair place to start. We could start with the NL West because we're there already with the Machado deal. Last year's standings look like this. The Dodgers 111 wins, 51 losses. The Padres went 89 and 73. Went all the way to the NLCS after winning a wild card. The Giants 81 and 81. The Diamondbacks 74 and 88. The Colorado Rockies 68 and 94. And their owners hoping they play 500 ball this year.
Good luck. Good luck.
Right.
Yeah, right. Key moves. All these teams, the Diamondbacks, my guy Andrew Chafin, Evan Longoria went to the Diamondbacks, Lourdes Gurriel, and Kyle Lewis. This will help the Rockies. Pierce Johnson, Nolan Jones, Dylan Spain, and Jose Urena. That's what
As
the
in
Rockies
Urena gonna
did.
get any better.
And Tyler Kinley, they re-signed. The Dodgers brought in J.D. Martinez, Noah Syndergaard, Clayton Kershaw re-signed, and they brought in David Peralta and Miguel Rojas from the Marlins. The aforementioned Padres. Now we can include the Machado extension, but they brought in Xander Bogaerts, re-signed Robert Suarez and Nick Martinez, and then signed Michael Wacha and Cole Hamels to minor league deals, and Nelson Cruz and Matt Carpenter, which is very weird, the Carpenter one for me. And then the Giants, Mets legend Michael Conforto, Mitch Haniger, Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, re-signed Jock Peterson, and then had the greatest signing of all time when they signed Arson Judge.
That was just mean to put that on the list.
I think I had to. John Heyman allowed it.
That was hilarious.
If you look at this division and you look at and listen to what Mike just described, the Padres, this is an all in or out right now for them. You're bringing in Bogaerts on a huge contract. You've re-signed Machado, which means you have fears you're going to lose Soto in the upcoming years if they're not ready to hand it all out. You bring in experience with Wacha, Hamels, and Carpenter to help with your pitching rotation, even though it's solid as can be with you, Darvish, leading in the way. I think that with the Dodgers' loss of Trey Turner, this is the Padres' division to lose now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
I do want to agree with that. I do think the Dodgers took a tiny step back, and the Padres took too big of a step forward. And one thing I wanted to mention, I don't know how much you guys have talked about it, is a lot of people seem to think the Dodgers are not giving up this year, but they're kind of waiting for Mr. Shohei Ohtani. And I don't know how much you guys think this maybe has a little bit to do with it. And, if maybe this is part of the reason why the Padres think they're going really, really hard right now. They think the Dodgers are kind of going to make some sort of mistake, or they might be vulnerable this year.
I,
Because
I think there's a couple of factors that play in to how I feel about the division. I think one is I think the Dodgers have committed to a lot of veterans. When we're talking Kershaw and we're talking guys like that, I think the Trey Turner thing is huge. As much as I love Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, sorry, Patch, Mookie Betts might be a better bowler than you are. Trey Turner, to me, was the guy who made that lineup click the most because he could beat you with power and he could beat you with speed. Now, all of a sudden, that lineup, I don't want to say it's missing something, but they need one of their younger players, probably Gavin Lux, to step up in a big position. And I also wonder how the loss of not having the threat of a Cody Bellinger every day, because they non-tendered him. I know Cody Bellinger's was really bad last year, but he was still a threat. That was just something I wonder about. And I don't know about it. The whole Ohtani thing is you're going to list every big market team in there for him. The Dodgers are involved. The Angels are going to be involved. The Mets are going to be involved. The Yankees might be involved. Shohei Ohtani's just going to sign with the Cardinals and have fun. That's what's going to wind up happening. Not really, but
Showtime.
It's an interesting conversation for sure, the Ohtani.
Yeah. I just think I've heard even this whole year that it was the Dodgers. I hope he doesn't go there just so everyone's wrong, but it does kind of seem like maybe the Dodgers are saving some money, as if that's a thing in baseball, especially as the Dodgers, to give that humongous contract. But we'll see. Time will tell. It's kind of like a little conspiracy theory.
Well, if you look at it, if you want to get a good laugh, the Dodgers technically spent quote unquote $700 million that they never had come out of their checkbook between Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa. So money, I don't think, is an issue for them.
Yeah, you would think, right? I can't believe it's an issue for any team, but that's another story.
But you know what? We could actually have this conversation here because the Rockies owner has talked about how the Padres have spent before they spent this, and how Steve Cohen's impacted on spending. But to me, I always find that to be BS. If you are the owner of a sports franchise, your goal every year should be to put the best product out there because you want to win.
Definitely.
Now, to belittle the Rockies a little bit more, you're the ones who decided to give the St. Louis Cardinals your best player plus $250 million to pay it or whatever it was.
Right.
That was your decision, not our decision. Oh, and then you're going to spend $100 million on Chris Bryant, who could barely play last year.
It's been hard to watch the what's going on with the Rockies.
I mean, they're not the only ones. I'm just tired of people complaining about how spending in baseball is not the way to go.
I think the whole Steve Cohen thing is actually the opposite. I think it's good for baseball because I think if teams like the Mets are going to keep spending, it's going to encourage maybe these smaller teams to finally bring out the checkbook. So I do firmly believe they can all afford to bring in better teams, and I think that should be the pressure they should be facing at this point. We talk about this sport dying a lot. I don't know how true it is that it's dying, but what would definitely help was all of these franchises having, a great player or someone to buy their jersey or somebody to go get an autograph from, And the teams that are like really don't spend, like the ones that like shame on them. I don't know if the Rockies are that far below. They're gonna win as many as those teams. So in the end of the day, that might be what matters.
The joke that went around baseball last year is that the Oakland A's pay salary now is exactly what it was 30 years ago.
Yep. It was
Oakland
actually,
A's,
I think, at one point lower than like 20 years ago, which is crazy.
yeah, the Oakland A's need to get rid of their franchise if we're talking that teams have money, because they're not proving they have any money.
Mm-hmm. And the empty stands for them are getting really concerned. I
Mm.
mean, we never mind.
We'll
No,
talk
that's
about them.
okay.
People are resorting to
Extracurricular activities happen in Oakland. We know that.
yes,
The extracurricular activities.
So they have to really think about their future, but it seems like the future is Las Vegas, right?
I would think Vegas. Although
we're
I've been
not
seeing
talking about them
people are
yet.
trying to get an expansion team in Nashville too. So,
Oh yeah,
but back to the National League West.
Yeah.
I also think the Padres had the off season. I think everyone thought the Giants were going to have, and I don't want to say the Giants had to settle because Mitch Haniger, when healthy, is a pretty good ball player. I don't know what Michael Conforto is going to look like after not playing for a full year with a shoulder issue. Everything else kind of seems second fiddle. Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, back into the rotation. We were waiting for the Giants to make up a big move, and it happened. Arson Judge, and then that quickly got deleted. Then they had Carlos Correa, and we'll talk about it also with the Mets. Apparently, his ankle isn't very good, according to doctors. So the Giants never pivoted to something big in the shortstop market where they could have had Trey Turner or Dansby Swanson. But I feel like this was a major. I want to say it was a failure, but it was a less than ideal offseason for the San Francisco Giants.
Like the signing of Michael Conforto, I think last year he wasn't worth anything because his shoulder was messed up. I'm hoping he has a good year and he can become a resurgent in the league, and that's just him as a player. But otherwise, I agree with you, Mike. The Giants really didn't do much except create more headlines than anything. I happen to like Sean Manaea, but we'll see. He did not have a good career start up with the Oakland Athletics, like other pitchers have, namely like Tim Hudson and Barry Zito. But we'll see what he can do. Maybe he'll be better than we thought. But if the Giants are trying to compete to win, this is not the offseason to show. Not by this offseason, you can't prove it to me.
Yeah,
I think that. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh no, I was gonna say underwhelming was probably the right word for it, but also because we kind of had these expectations of Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa, and now neither of them are going to be on this team. And my other quick point was the expectations for the Giants 2 years ago were gigantic. They won this division with 106 wins against the Dodgers, and I really want to know what totally went wrong. And I want to know which was the fluke. Was them winning 106 games the fluke, or was it them only winning 81 games? And I'm really starting to think it was the 106.
I'm with you on the 106 because I think they led all baseball in home runs that year, or they were near the top in home runs. So they weren't. You're not going to do that every year, but I think this also goes into another point you kind of made about the Dodgers. I wonder if the Giants get into the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes next year. Now that I don't want to say they struck out because Conforto and Haniger are good players, but they're not lineup difference makers. But and then the Rockies are the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks had a pretty nice offseason, but I think the top two are just so much better than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's uh,
I agree, though. Kudos to the Diamondbacks. Actually, kind of went from like one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league, to sort of pesky last year. I like some of their pieces, and they had a decent offseason. So I do expect them to get better.
yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest surprise was Andrew Chafin coming over to the Diamondbacks. Kind of surprised, figuring he would have came over to the East, but the names they picked up are all guys with good experience and can help drive this young team. You know, Longo has been all over, but he might not be able to play third base like he used to when he came up with the Rays. But I think he's going to be able to help out and show some things for these kids to learn a little bit.
Yeah, and I love Dalton Varsho, by the way. He's fantastic. Great, another piece they have. So I have expectations for the Diamondbacks.
Be competitive, unlike the Rockies. Listen,
Yes.
I'll talk Rockies for a second here. One, Chris Bryant needs a bounce back year here. Otherwise, we may be talking about a Chris Bryant trade next offseason. And the young starters have to be better. Marquez, Freeland, those guys have to be good if they're gonna surprise people. Also, last bit of Rocky news: put Todd Helton in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah, good idea.
That's I'll get them on the good side of Rockies fans. All right, so some key questions on the division. Well, can't ask the Machado question anymore because he's his re-signed.
It probably would have been a distraction.
Yeah, right. I thought it
A little bit.
been. But what do we expect from Fernando Tatis once he comes back to the Padres?
Go ahead, Tom.
I'm expecting him to maybe start off a little slow, but eventually get back to his form. I mean, he really was, if one of the most, if not the most exciting guys in the game. I doubt he falls off a total cliff, just because of the PED stuff. But I'm expecting him to play very good baseball still.
Being out the first 23 games, I think they'll ease him back in. Probably around May or June, we're going to see more of a resurgence of him. I think he's going to have a really, really powerful year, somewhere about 320, 30 home runs, and around 90 to 100 RBIs.
Okay, so I want to ask this as a follow-up because I don't know. I know he's suspended, but he once is activated or whatever they want to call it. Can he get some rehab games in, or does he have to come straight back to the big leagues?
No, he can be sent down to the minors to play a few games just to get him legs in tune and everything.
So I think especially in that lineup, they could take their time with him.
Yeah.
Machado, Bogart, Soto,
Yeah.
Cronenworth.
They still have Josh Bell, or was he just a rental?
No, Josh Bell went to Cleveland, which was one of my favorite signings this winter.
Okay.
For whom the bell tolls. Yeah, so Padres, Dodgers. Let's talk a little bit about the Dodgers. Every year they have a guy you don't expect to have great years, Justin Turner. Who's the new Justin Turner? Because he's no longer there.
Oh,
the actual tough question. You still have a bunch of superstars on that team, but I think the person who needs to take control and lead this team is Freddie Freeman. He's been he was with a very big organization before he came to the Dodgers. He is a world championship first baseman. He is liked around anywhere he'll go, and he can teach the sport. So I think for the Dodgers, they need to use that and get some of these other guys like Mookie Betts out there, pushing a little bit of that experience level in.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I want to see the Dodgers have the best pitching staff again, and that's, very possible, or at least very close. I think they have to keep that rolling. So we got to see. Also, Dustin May was injured last year. He looked like an elite starter for them 2 years ago. Is he going to be elite again if they plug him back in? Is Tony Gonsolin going to repeat anything close to what he's done the past couple years? Because I really do sort of trust the lineup, but if the pitching is going to be first in the league again, the Padres will have a tough time scoring off them. And I'm willing to trust Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman with my life. JD Martinez now. So I don't know if I had to pick someone who's going to come out of the woodwork and be really good again. I'd say Dustin May comes back and puts up like a 2.5 ERA, and we're like, oh man, the Dodgers just don't stop.
I think you're right, Tom, in the rotation, because I think the only guarantee in the rotation is Julio Urias, because Clayton Kershaw is a future Hall of Famer, but he's also been injured the last couple of years. He's had some injuries. Dustin May, you mentioned, is coming off injury, so we don't know what to expect. I'm not sure if Tony Gonsolin can replicate last year. That's why everyone's ass is in the jackpot. It's no Syndergaard for me.
Yeah.
Who was pretty good with the Angels, was okay with the Phillies at times last year. If no Syndergaard can put it all together and become a reliable starter for the Dodgers, all of a sudden that rotation can fill out really nicely. Because they're going to do what they can do offensively with Betts and Freeman and those guys. They're a machine. They really are a freaking machine. They have a crappy manager, but they're a machine. Listen, I don't dislike Dave Roberts, but that team is so good. The three of us can manage it.
I'm willing.
And also, the 2020 World Series doesn't count.
Sadly,
Win a real World Series, cowards. All right. Prediction time.
Okay.
Who do we like? How does the NL West shape up?
Should we start with last place?
Yeah, why not? Started from the bottom.
All right. Well, I think the bottom is going to be the Rockies. Sorry, Rockies. You're kind of by far the worst team right now, and didn't kind of do anything in the division.
Rock bottom.
They may have very well hit rock bottom with the whole last year, I think. And I'm actually going to put the Giants in fourth place. I don't know. I like the Diamondbacks a little bit more. I think they somehow become a more interesting team this year, and the Giants kind of suffer from this kind of very upsetting offseason. Just give me the Rockies last, Giants in fourth, Diamondbacks in third, and then give me the Dodgers in second and the Padres in first. I just think they're too much. They're better on paper. The Padres, I'm going to take them to win the division. They still have plus odds, by the way. The Dodgers are still favored, so you can bet on it if you want to wait until October to get paid.
Right.
Well, Tom, how big is the gap? Because I'm going to presume you would have the Dodgers as a wild card team.
Yup. The gap I don't think is too big at all. I think this is going to be a couple game difference. As far as the betting gap, it's very close. Any day now, the Padres might overtake it. It's just the tides are changing.
When you look at the NL West, you have to take it for what it can be, what it could be, and what it's going to be. We could spend all day talking about the other two, but here's what it's gonna be. The Diamondbacks, I don't disagree that they made some improvements, but I don't think they did enough this year to climb out of the bottom. And this fact they actually go to the bottom. The Rockies I have finishing in fourth. I think they have a few players who have a breakout year. The Giants I have in third place. The Dodgers in second, and obviously the Padres winning it. And I have the gap, as Mike was talking about, is going to be a very big surprise, is going to be that the Giants are not even going to make it into the wild card discussion. That's how bad the bottom three in that division are going to be.
I'm torn on where I want to put the Giants and the Diamondbacks. So I'm gonna go Rockies at the bottom. Listen, I'm at the Rockies where you have to prove me wrong. That's the point I'm at with the whole team.
Okay.
I'm gonna go put the Giants at 4. I want to see some life out of them, but they're still, for me, missing that big bat. So I'm gonna put them at 4. I'll put Arizona at 3. They're young. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. They're gonna surprise people. I'm gonna put the Dodgers at 2, and that's rough for me to say because I know they're gonna probably win this division, but I'm gonna put the Dodgers at 2. I'm gonna put the Padres at 1, but I'm with Tom. I think the gap is very small. I think it's 2 games, something like that. Because I think the only thing that could stop the Padres is injuries. Outside of that, there's no reason that lineup can't score 4 to 5 runs a night. And that rotation's too good to give up that amount of runs. So I'll go with the Padres. I do think the Dodgers get in as a wild card, but it'll be fun in the NL West. Now, switching over to the AL West. Last year, we had the Houston Astros, who did this thing called winning a World Series. Second time in 5 years. Then the Mariners were, I believe, 89 and 73. Or did they reach
90 and
90
72.
wins? Then 90 and 72. Followed by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. The Texas Rangers, who weren't even cool enough to win 69 games. They won 68. And then there are the A's, who people enjoyed the A's so much. I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
Oh. All right. So the AL West. Let's just start with what it looked like last year at first, because there's always been this pressure on the Houston Astros because of what happened in 2017 and this and that. And they said, cue up the Michael Jordan meme of, and we took that personally because they've gone to back-to-back World Series since, and they won last year. So, and also got Dusty's ring. Key acquisitions for the Astros, they brought in Jose Abreu from the White Sox and re-signed Rafael Montero and Michael Brantley. The Angels brought in Tyler Anderson from the Dodgers, Carlos Estevez, who is not related to Emilio, we believe, Gio Urshela and Hunter Renfroe. The Athletics brought in Aledmus Diaz, Jace Peterson, and Trevor May.
God rest
The
those
Mariners,
souls.
Trevor got Teoscar Hernandez. Huh? Did I miss something?
Sorry. I made a dumb joke. Sorry.
I love dumb jokes. So,
You said the A's people, and
Trevor
I was like,
got
God rest their soul.
well. We'll get into it because they're what Moneyball's all about. But Trevor got Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, Cooper Hummel went to the Mariners. The Rangers, well, they're the one. They did a lot of work. Bruce Bochy, some guy named Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, Martin Perez re-signed, Jake Odorizzi, Andrew Heaney, and Robbie Grossman. The Rangers also brought in signed some guys to minor league free agents. One of those included the name Clint Frazier. So Yankee fans, Clint Frazier's still around. But all right, let's just dive into the A's and Tom, your comment.
Okay.
Because-
I feel really bad for the fans of this franchise. I just want to put that out there first as a disclaimer. Secondly, don't worry, the pain will end soon. Third, I don't know a lot about this team. I wish I could give a full in-depth evaluation, but I just tune them out because I know they're never going to do much. What I do know about them is that they deserve better, the fans, and the stadium's terrible. Maybe they can find a way to shock everybody this year. They've shocked people before. They made a freaking movie about it. So do they have zero chance? No. But do they have really close to zero chance? Yes. So I really don't know what to say about them. I don't know that many people on their team. It's sad. I really don't. They're a farm team for the MLB at this point. I mean, I would love to see them change it, but they're also in a division where, like, I really don't think anybody else can win this division other than the Astros. So they've got as about a hard of a climb as anybody to even be relevant.
I think Tom said it best by saying, we don't know who this team really is. And to be fair, they really don't have an identity. They couldn't even win above 60 games last year. This team is not going to perform. They are a farm team, like Tom said, for the entire league, and they get picked apart like that. And their organization doesn't put money on the field. So I think the Oakland A's are going to turn into what the LA Dodgers were going to be with the forced sale. And we're going to actually see what that's going to be like when they go to Vegas.
They've tried to replicate Moneyball, and it worked in the early 2000s when you had a Mark Mulder, Tim Hudson, Barry Zito, and then a lineup with Eric Chavez and Miguel Tejada and Jason Giambi, and then they just could trade those guys or they leave as free agents, and then, okay, we could draft and develop, or we trade for prospects. The problem is you're not going to hit on every draft pick or every prospect that you trade for. It just doesn't work like that. There's only one team right now that is very successful with this. They're the Tampa Bay Rays, and they are insane at what they do. So while I feel bad for the A's fans, like Tom said, at the same time, this is the way they've been run for 20 plus years. Now, if they go to Vegas, that's not how Vegas does things, but it's a bad situation for the A's. They can't get a new ballpark. They can't get a lot of major leaguers on the field, and now they might just lose their team.
Yeah, it's such a shame because people live in Oakland. It's not like nobody's there. It's just
Right.
nobody cares to go see this team because they're going to win 55 games. Nobody knows who's on the team. The stadium is just not good at all. It's falling apart. So it's like, why? Especially when you live in that part of California, there's about 100 other probably better things to do than go see the Oakland Athletics. You know, it's sad. Like, I love baseball. I've never been there. I would go see a game. Would I ever want to go back? Probably not. Actually, maybe I would because there's so much room. You probably get to move up right behind home plate. Honestly. Maybe I would go back.
But buy that $10 beer here. I'm contributing to your designated hitter.
Right?
I
Do they still
That's how
charge
you.
$40 for parking even though nobody's there?
don't know, but something tells me it's a lot more than 40.
Yeah, it might be.
Uh,
Oh boy.
all right. So that's the A's. Now let's just go through the rest of the division because the Mariners ended the longest postseason drought, I think, in current sports, the four major ones last year, by going to the playoffs.
Mm.
And instead of kind of recycling the same team, they made a lot of changes here. I read off some of the key ones, but that's not everything they did. Is there a such thing here as too much tinkering here when it comes to the Mariners? Because this was a really good team last year that actually had the Astros on the ropes in the two games they lost.
I think with the surge of Julio Rodriguez and what that team was doing last year, and the embarrassment that Jared Kalenic has been, I think they had to get the focus off that and the focus on winning. I mean, technically, they started winning after the brawl against the Angels last year. That's when they started winning and just really didn't lose after that. So maybe that's all they need is to get into a good fight on opening day and go win the AL West. But no, there's no tinkering that's needed. The team that's there should be the same team that can win.
Yeah, a full agreement. I think this team's good enough to win again. I mentioned before, I don't think anyone else is going to win this division other than the Astros. But if anybody was to do it this year, it would probably be the Seattle Mariners. They're pretty strong from top to bottom. I love Luis Castillo also as their ace. I think he's perfect. And you mentioned Julio Rodriguez. You talk about having an identity. The A's have zero identity. The Mariners have an identity now, and it's going to be building around Julio Rodriguez for the foreseeable future. And I really can't think of many players I'd rather be building around right now when you consider their age and what they've done already to this point. I mean, he's 22 and just had an 850 something OPS season in Seattle. Where, let's be honest, the only people that have hit great in Seattle are Ken Griffey Jr. and like that's about it. So this is very interesting that they may have their young centerpiece of this team, and I'm very interested to see what they do. I also, this is a franchise that's been through quite a lot. They deserve a really nice playoff run or a World Series. So I am rooting for them. And you can't really find too many weaknesses in this team. Uh, Maybe they need a bit more depth. That's my only my critique.
Tom, why do you like the Mariners over the Rangers? And I don't even want to say the Angels, but
Well,
I'll throw the Angels in there anyway.
it's a good question because I do think they could all put up a fight, but I still like the Mariners more than them. I think because the Mariners, at least last year, were a lot more impressive than the other two. Obviously, things have changed massively, but I just don't see the Rangers turning around on a dime like that. I don't think the Rangers are going to win 90 games like the Mariners did last year. I think they've got just bigger problems. And I think the Angels, I can't even. I mean, we haven't talked about them totally yet, but I don't know what this team will do every year. I like to think they're going to make a playoff run, but if they haven't done it in the past 10 years of Mike Trout, how can I say they'll even be in the question this year? Something just always goes wrong, and
No,
uh, I still
no,
sort of like them though.
no. That's why I asked it, because every year I'm one of the suckers who gets sucked in. I go, okay, yeah, I got Trout, you got Ohtani. Everything else could be mixed and match, and let's see what you can do. And you get burned by them every year. And it's part of the reason why I can't buy them until I actually watch them play. Although I really liked what they did all off season. I like
Yeah,
adding Gio Urshela. I like adding Hunter Renfro. I like Tyler Anderson's not an ace, but he can fill out the rotation, help fill out the rotation. Um, you know, can the bullpen be fixed? Bullpens everywhere are tricky,
mm,
but I'm not going to buy the Angels until they have to show me. Outside of Trout and Otani, there's no one I trust on that roster. As for Texas, listen, I'm going to come off as a disgruntled Mets fan here, but the best kind of ability is availability. And Jacob deGrom wasn't available for the Mets the last year and a half. So am I going to sit here and say he's not going to pitch well? No, I think he'll be fine if he's healthy. The other part is American League lineups are always a little bit deeper than the National League lineups because they know how to use the DH.
And
He's
we're
also
already
going
seeing
into
problems in Texas with DeGrom already.
Yes, so that's one. Evaldi's a nice pickup, but their best move was hiring Bruce Bochy, who
Excuse me.
future Hall of Famer, but big time move. But
Yeah.
again, Tom, I'm with you on the Astros. Until someone shows me they can knock them off, they're the best. I think they're the best team in all of baseball, but
Yeah, and the other
that's
thing you
proven
said
by the
about
World Series.
staying healthy with the Angels. Can everyone even on the lineup stay healthy? Mike Trout, will he put up full 162? Yeah, we got to see what Brandon Drury does.
He didn't play a full 162 last year. He's still at 40 homers.
Yep. It's just I feel like injury bites them a lot every year. And the whole Shohei Otani possibly not being there might be lingering around the locker room. And I don't know. It's tough to see them making this run now. With the Astros as unbelievably tough as they are. And hey, now the Mariners, by the way, are good and they're going to win probably an auto 85, 90 games. So it's hard for me to get all happy about them now. This year more so than the past few years.
I think that brings up a great question because let's say the Angels are out of it July 31st and there is no quote unquote extension with Shohei Otani. What the heck do you do? Do you move them and get assets, or do you just attach the qualifying offer and see what you can and get the pick?
That is a great question. I really don't have an answer. I don't know what I would do because I feel like either way, what you do, you might end up making a big mistake. But I don't think Shohei Otani is going to stick around with this team, especially if they don't compete this year. Why would the guy? I mean, you got everybody's going to open up the checkbook, come to Queens, come to the Dodgers, go to a team that has done something the past few years. So I think he's gone no matter what, unless they go on a run this year. So in that case, I guess trade him, figure something out because you have, our generation's Babe Ruth on your team. Let's figure something out or win something.
And that's also why I think the Padres did what they did is somebody thought about Shohei Otani and like Tom is talking about at the trade deadline, what do we do? We know Machado wasn't coming back, so they extended him. Now you got to play that same question for Shohei. And I agree with it. I agree that if you're coming to the point where you don't think you're going to get anything in return for him, trade him for whatever you can get now because the qualifying offer is going to be breached no matter what. And a pick means nothing in baseball like it does in football and basketball and hockey.
All right. So, Tom, you answered this. So I'll go to Mark then. Bigger threat to the Astros, the Rangers or the Mariners?
Mariners. I think the Mariners are the younger, hungrier team. And that's enough said.
All right. One thing we really haven't even dove into the Astros. So I think we should because they did win the World Series. And we could also make the argument their lineup got better by adding Jose Abreu.
And what a sneaky signing that was, too.
Yeah. You haven't heard a lot of people talking about that signing. To be fair, there's been a lot of distractions. But anytime the Astros are adding pieces to this team, which was already insanely good last year, it almost felt like there was a gap between the Astros and the rest of the league, which I hate that exists, but it felt like it. Um, so it's scary to think of how good they might be. Again, Jordan Alvarez might be, I thought he has a great chance to win MVP again this year, but we'll see.
I'll be perfectly honest. If he didn't get hurt last year, he had a great shot at. I don't care
Definitely.
that Aaron Judge hit 62 homers.
I
Alvarez
think
was
Jordan
right
Alvarez
there
means
with him.
more to the Astros than a lot of players mean to their respective teams.
Yeah.
But just think of this lineup now, because you can go Altuve, Jeremy Pena. Oh, by the way,
He's good.
he was a rookie last year, and he was the World Series MVP.
Yeah, he's good.
Then you're getting into Alvarez, Bregman, Abreu. They brought back Michael Brantley. I can hit ninth in this. Kyle Tucker hit 30 homers last year.
I'm shuddering, and I'm not even a Yankees fan. How do you think the Yankees fans feel knowing that this is their fate, even if they make it to the ALCS every year? They got to get
right. It should. I mean, the way it all plays out, it should be Yankees Houston almost every year. Right now, at least you would think.
And
I don't like to think, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if I was a Yankees fan, I would be very unhappy that this team exists in the AL.
They could come to the NL and face the Mets. I mean, it's a one half dozen of another.
True. You know what? We should just put the Astros back in the NL. I bet the Yankees fans would love that idea. They were there not long ago.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the line, but the bullpen's always been solid. Anchored by Ryan Presley. Mets legend Rafael Montero was good for them last
I always
year.
say in fantasy, if it's the later rounds and I don't know too many things going on, just pick Astros players because there's a good chance they're going to do good things.
So, and the rotation, despite losing Justin Verlander, who won the AL Cy Young, the rotation stacked with guys like Lance McCullers, Christian Javier, Framber Valdez. This team is so good.
Yeah.
My one regret is I just wish Dusty had retired after they'd won the World Series, but I'm not going to pivot on that. But I think we all know who we're going to take to win the division. And I think we all know who we're going to pick at the bottom of the division. It's the 2 through 4 where we're going to have
we're all a little bit different on. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
All right, Mark, how do you see the AL West?
Very, very simply, Astros, I think will take it, but not as big as a margin of 16 games. I think they finish about 10 games, maybe only about 8 to 10 games ahead of the Mariners, who come in second. I think the Angels will be right where they are in third, and the Rangers in fourth. And I think an earthquake happens and swallows up Oakland, and we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, so that's actually the exact ranking I would go. I had the Astros, then the Mariners, and then the Angels in third, Rangers in fourth. Sorry, Jacob deGrom, but I don't know what you went there for, but maybe there's a reason. And then the good old Oakland A's in last. I will say now that I think about it a little bit more, maybe the gap between the A's, the Angels, and the Mariners isn't as big as I thought. But again, it's so hard to guess what the Angels are going to do. And same with the Rangers. I guess I really don't know what they're going to do either. So there's a lot of unknowns coming in, I guess, with those teams this year.
Right.
I'm with you guys at the top two, Astros and Mariners, but I'm going to flip the Angels and the Rangers for this reason only. I don't trust the Angels. Angels, to me, the Angels need to call up Danny Glover and Joseph Gordon-Levitt because we need Angels in the outfield to revitalize this Angels team.
Yes, let's do it.
Listen, Outside of Trout and Otani, I don't trust anyone. And the one other thing is I'll take Bruce Bochy over Phil Nevin as my manager any day. And then, sorry, Oakland, you could look forward to Raider. No, wait, you can't look forward to Raider football in the fall either. Sorry,
Well, when they move
Oh,
to
God.
Oakland, they
man. I've
can.
got Colorado and Oakland all over
They're
today.
all just Warriors fans, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Listen, they
Steph
may
Curry's
miss the
hurt.
playoffs too.
Yeah, wow.
Oh my. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Batter Up, part of the Sports Insanity Network. Check out the podcast, Anchor, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. For Mark Golubsky, Halpern, and Tom Roussos, I'm Mike Rifkin. Thank you for listening to Batter Up. Next week, I believe we're going to go to the Centrals. We haven't decided that, but we'll continue division previews next week. Until next time, namaste.